Hello, everyone. This is a sample video I'm giving of some of the content I'll be offering as services. The two main fields are intercultural communication and ESOL. ESOL stands for English to Speakers of Other Languages, or English for Speakers of Other Languages. Regarding intercultural communication, that field studies the culture differences between different around the world. So each of us grows up among at least one group of people, or usually more than one group, and each group of people has its own type of culture, which include language, customs, behaviors, how to act in certain situations, who's related to who, how you act in relation to certain people by kinship or by work or by position, um, by age, by class in school or education, all those things. Um, what are celebrated? What are holidays? What are beliefs about the world? All those things add into what we call culture. And I'm using an anthropological definition. So this is not the definition where culture only talks about like special artworks or crafts. We're using the definition of culture interpreted by anthropology. So it's the study of sort of the mental software we all learn as part of a group, as part of a family, or part of a city, part of a country, part of a nation. We each have at least one culture, maybe more, and usually more than one. And those different cultures within one larger area or one larger group are called co-cultures. All right. So anyway, the field of intercultural communication looks at what is common to all humans, and then what are these culture differences that vary, from one group to another group. And it tries to teach about those differences and help us learn how to accommodate each other when we do business or interact with people from different cultures. So that's the focus on those. Um, let's see. ES, well, we say ESOL nowadays, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Traditionally, it was called ESL, or English as a Second Language. And I guess they changed it because for some people, it might not have been their second language. It might have been their third, fourth, or fifth, or sixth language. A lot of people around the world speak several languages. And unfortunate, in the United States, there are very few of us can speak more than one language, at least fluently. Some of us know a little bit of Spanish or a little French or a little bit from high school or whatever. And some who go to college learn a lot more in depth of different languages. But it's very difficult for Americans to be very fluent in another language unless we go live in another country for a length of time. All right. I do have a little bit of other languages myself. I speak some Chinese. I spent 3 years in mainland China back in the mid 80s, 1980s, it's a long time ago. And I also speak a little Spanish because I've taught a lot of Spanish speaking students here in the United States. And I've had students from all over the world. So I've been exposed at least to many different languages, from many countries around the world. Okay, and same with cultures. I've studied a bit about many different cultures, and I taught ESL or ESOL for about 40 years now, and I taught intercultural communication formally about 10 years in a college, and I also have taught it since then, on the side, kind of along with ESL as needed. Whatever elements of culture that went along with certain language functions or language aspects, I would add that into the lesson as well. Um, most of probably about 30 of my 40 years were teaching college level or above. So the undergraduate students, graduate students, some visiting scholars, and some business people, and some older adults. So depending on the need, was usually college level and above. And then the last 10 years, I've been spending more time teaching and And then part of that time, even taught primary school students from like, I think the lowest grade I ever taught was second grade. So from second grade on up through grade eight, I taught those students too as well for part of the time. All right, so for the future, I will be able to offer services to any age, I believe. Even if I'm not too familiar with first grade or younger, I will prepare myself if that is what is needed at the time. And this video is mainly for parents or adults who want to study English or high school students who want to study English or culture differences. Uh, but of course, I would prepare lessons accordingly if I were teaching small children. Um, let's see, as far as a sample lesson plans, well, let me just give an example about intercultural communication. One of the common examples is comparing greetings between Japan and United States. This has probably been taught many places around the world as there are kind of obvious differences. If you are familiar with the United States, you know that when we greet people, when we meet new people or greet them, we say, "Hi, my name is Greg Knepper, and I'm glad to meet you. What's your name?" And we'll shake hands, right? We'll reach out and shake the right hand of the other person. Um, and we start with "I'm Greg Knepper," and that's because the United States is a culture a little more focused on individuals. Every culture seems to put some weight on the individual and as well as on the group. United States is very individual focused, so that is given more priority in a lot of situations than the groups you belong to. But we also care about groups too. And then culture like Japan puts the group first. So the family, the business, the company, the school, all those become top priority above the individual. So a Japanese individual might greet you first by saying, uh, my company XXX such and such has sent me to represent them as a certain position, what my position is, as a negotiator, as a what do you call it, liaison, and my name is Yamaguchi, or whatever, something like this, and then I would bow to you, and according, and then there's a lot of specifics about how to bow in Japan as well. For example, the older person, well, let me start with the younger person will bow deeper and will bow more and more times and deeper than the older person. This will also apply to rank in companies. The lower rank person would bow lower, bow first and lower and more times than the higher rank person. That would also apply to grade level in school, I believe, but which that would also tie into age probably as well. So most relations in Japan have some degree of hierarchy in them, where there's some level of rank in almost every type of situation or social structure, and then it's you try to figure out who has the higher rank, and if you're lower, then you do the initial bowing and be bow deeper than the other person. And it's to show respect. Everything is about showing respect in Japan there. So that's just one sample about culture differences. And of course, if it were a lesson plan, we would do role playing. I would teach about the differences, and then we would practice situation where the two of us, one Japanese, one American, and we're coming in a situation, meeting each other for the first time, and we start to greet each other accordingly. All right, and then the other small lesson plan I'll just do quickly here because learning English, there's a whole range of complexity involved with that. Um, I'll just say if it's higher level English, we can get into everything from even if I don't know all the vocabulary in your field of work, I can help you with all the sentence structures, this writing style. I can figure out either you can tell me or I can figure out which words are nouns or adjectives or what kind of function they have in the sentence, which will help me guide you at how to write things correctly with the correct word form forms and grammar and the style of how long a sentence can be and using sentence variety, all of those things, paragraphing, punctuation. So I've taught people in astrophysics and chemistry and mechanical engineering, all kinds of things that are not my specialties, but I can still help them write dissertation papers correctly. I can edit, they write the main content, and I edit the English in it, go back and help them with the English, or I teach them about it if they want to learn the English. Some people just want some quick editing. I can do that as well. Or some people want to actually learn how to use the English, and then we'll do practice lessons and plans and writing samples and all that to help that. And the same applies to speaking and listening. I can help people, practice, give you tapes to listen to or videos to listen to, and then see what you understand out of that by quizzes or tests about it. Or I can help you practice speaking as well. There are so many words in English that are difficult for someone from a different language. Uh, like from Spanish speakers, there's a lot of difficulty separate or distinguishing the sound I uh, and the sound E. I'm trying to think like meal and mill. They may not hear the difference. Meal, of course, is eating a meal like dinner, supper, breakfast, lunch. So that's MEAL and it's pronounced meal. So there's actually two syllables there together, me and then yo, meal, and they go together, meal, meal. All right, so that's a little different. The other one, mill, MILL, is a place where they make flour, ground up grains, whatever to make flour, things like wheat flour or whatever. So it's called a mill, MILL, and it's pronounced mill. So the sound is a I in the middle, and it's not E, it's I. So a lot of Spanish speakers have trouble hearing that difference. The I and the E sound the same to them. So it's just many examples, many things that can be worked on. If I were having you speak those, we would practice repeating them over and over, speaking them until you could get them right, and then use them in phrases and sentences, sounding like a native speaker. Another example might be pronouns, subject verb agreement, we call it. In English, the main subject of a word has to match with a certain form of the verb. So pronouns are like I, you, he, she, it, they, and we. Pronouns. Subject meaning the beginning of a sentence. Okay. So, for example, simple sentence, I am here, right? In the Spanish, yo estoy aquí. Okay. I am here. So for English, if you say I in present time, like right now, you gotta say I am. All right. Now, if you change the subject to she, then you would say she is. She is here. Here a key or whatever. So I am. She is. Different word. Am and is. All right. Same with he. He and she are similar. We put them both with is. He, she is. He is. She is. And it. If we're talking about like an animal, where's the cat? It is there. Okay, it is here. Okay, so all those three single words, he, she, it, use is. You changes again. If I'm talking about uh, you, we say you are here. All right. I don't know why. Again, something about English I will teach near the beginning of any group of lessons. It evolved out of four different languages mixed together from old Europe. So English is not as uniform as a language like Spanish or some other languages. It it kind of changed and it adopted parts of languages from at least four different language backgrounds in old Europe. So it's a mixture of four languages that form current modern English. So that's why there's so many exceptions and so many rules. You look for grammar rules or patterns that people can follow, and you'll find so many exceptions because of the four different languages being mixed together. So I know that's very frustrating for my students. I said, why does English have so many exceptions to the rules, or whatever? And I tell them the same thing. So in those cases, you just have to remember them. You just have to use them over and over until they become habit, and you memorize what's the different, which parts are different or whatever. So again, I am, he is, she is, you are. ARE is used instead. You are. Uh, we, you and me both. We are. They, two, three, four people. They are. Okay. So we, they, you use are. He, she, it use is. I use am. That's present time with the form of be. Am, is, are. Those are all forms of the verb be. Just mean to exist, to be somewhere, to be something. All right. So that's one example I might give as a sample lesson plan. And of course, we have books for beginners or beginning low levels. I've used the series called Ventures. It's just a publication of several books along with workbooks geared mostly for high school students learning ESL or ESOL. But it includes from the very beginning stage up through a fairly advanced level. So it's a series that I've had some of my students buy, or the school has provided for some cases. That can also be paper book, or it could be online on online softwares. It costs money for those too, so yeah, I can't provide them for you, at least not much. I may be able to provide copies of certain pages here and there, but I can't afford at this point to buy a lot of books for a lot of students. So I guess you would have to be able to get those if you want to use those. But we don't have to use anything. You would not have to buy materials for any of my classes if you wouldn't want. There are a lot of free ESL service exercises and teaching materials in the internet. And there's a lot of information on intercultural communication as well. All right. So that's about all I've got for right now. Um, I hope to be working with you in the future, and best wishes.